Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. You're watching Bottom Line Africa, and as you can see, I'm not alone. Trix Ingado. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Fresh from Somaliland with some information.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that stands out, not many people know that Somaliland and Somalia are two different nations. Tell us about that.
Yeah, they're two different nations, and they actually parted ways in 1991 after a bit of conflict, and they decided they're going to go at it alone as an independent nation. And since then, they've been making strides to actually just stand on their own as an actual nation. And there's some efforts that have made, including economic efforts and diplomatic efforts. And there's a lot to this country that is just a well-kept secret that we are about to dissect in my story that is coming up, that is on Kenyans in diaspora. Now, a thriving economy in Somaliland's Hargeisa city has proven to be an attraction to foreign professionals seeking to make a living. A common history and similar social systems have made Hargeisa even more attractive to Kenyans, who form a huge percentage of the Somaliland diaspora. Now, I prepared this story for you. Just take a look and find out more about the Kenyan diaspora in Somaliland.
Okay.
Hargeisa. It is along these busy streets that Somalilanders in their daily toil work towards bettering their own lives and a better Somaliland. Their adamant efforts have over the years turned this into a hub of activity and economic potential that has seen foreigners from around the world want a piece of the action. A large percentage of that foreign population is made up of Kenyan diasporans, bringing to the table skills and expertise, filling in the gap that the local citizenry has yet the capacity to. From the education sector, health, hospitality and private sector, Kenyans have formed a large part of the machinery that keeps the local economy rolling. You wouldn't need to look too far to meet Kenyans going about their business here.
Since I entered here in 2014, now I have like 5 years. I've adapted with these Somalilanders. I've adapted just a little bit of the language. Yeah.
Despite this being a worthy investment destination for many, there are challenges.
As a woman, I can say the challenge we have here mostly is a dressing code, because as in back in Kenya, we are not used in covering ourselves. You are Kenyan, right? You know the dressing code of Kenyans. When we come here, the culture says that women are supposed to cover themselves. So that is the most challenge I face here as a woman.
You know, without being represented by the government, you are nothing. You know, your challenges cannot be addressed to when it comes to the issues to do with the government and government understanding. So having no office here for representation is really a challenge that the government of Kenya should look into and have the office here. We are so many Kenyans here.
Saad Ali Shirian is the Somaliland Minister for Foreign Affairs. He attests to the influence Kenyans, among other foreign nationals, have had on the city.
The ties between Somaliland and Kenya are very strong and historic. Kenya was a British colony. At the same time, Somaliland was a British protectorate. And we shared during that time many things, including in fact currency, administration system, legislation. We're all under the same system, so it goes back. And I think we both subscribe to the same democratic ideals, and that's also another connection, a strong connection between Somaliland and Kenya.
Government officials reiterate the urgent need for recognition, as well as a Kenyan consular that will cater to the needs of foreign nationals working here.
The logistics is one of the challenges at the present time. There is no, good road between Somaliland and Kenya at the present time. We are going to build the road from Berbera to Wachale, which will hopefully link up with the road network with Ethiopia, which also links up with Kenya. I'm quite sure that will facilitate trade between the two countries. I think the absence of a consulate here in Hargeisa, a Kenyan consulate here in Hargeisa, is also a challenge. I think the presence of a consulate would have facilitated the movement of goods and people and investment between the two countries. That's a challenge we need also to overcome.
At the Mal Hotel, we meet Tony Wanja, who has been working for 5 years here in Hargeisa. He spends his time consulting for different hotels in the city as a culinary expert. Over the years, he has had a front row seat to Hargeisa's bloom. In his work, he is keen to preserve the Somali people's culinary culture, as he goes to great lengths to work closely with Somali employees and locals outside the hotel.
People were quite warm. I was really welcome here. It's like my second home. And what attracted me here, why I wanted to expand my experience and exposure in the hospitality industry. Yeah, there'll be lots of growth because now we came with the experience from Kenya, what we had learned from Kenya, and we implemented it here. Of course, we took into account the Somali traditions and culture and the food and the cuisines, so we intertwined them, both of them. So an example, like the menu.
Tonight, he alongside Chef Yahya Abdul Wahab prepare a local Somali delicacy, a favorite among locals. It is a painstaking process, but the results are breathtaking to say the least. Even the chefs seem impressed by themselves. Soon, it's time to eat. This delicious meal is a result of a 6-hour labor of both Kenyans in diaspora and the people of Somaliland working tirelessly together in a kitchen. It is actually hoped that the future of Somaliland is also slowly cooking into something that all of Africa can jointly celebrate, just like this meal right here. I'm Trix Ingado for KTN News. Right, now there's some more information about Somaliland that a lot of people don't know. For example, that this is a nation that separated itself with Somalia in 1991 after conflict with Somalia actually, and then they decided they're going to move along economically and in many other ways just to be a nation, and they did a lot of things to make sure that this is solidified. So first of all, it is an independent nation, at least it considered itself an independent nation since 1991, but the rest of the world has yet to actually, is taking its sweet time to recognize Somaliland as an independent nation. So it is self-declared, a self-declared republic that is internationally recognized as an autonomous region of Somalia. Still, I have to reiterate that government of Somaliland says it is an actual nation unto itself with its own currency and many symbols of national unity. And it was a previous British protectorate, just like Kenya was a colony of Britain. So that forms the similarities, like the minister said in the story, between Kenya and Somaliland. And it joined Somaliland post-independence because they felt there was a need for a joint unified nation of Somalia. But then after a while, there's a lot of conflict, and some of the people in Somaliland really suffered in this conflict. And when the southern part of Somalia descended into chaos, it decided that it's going to go in its own merry way and form its own nation once again. Now, 1991, the region did declare itself, like I said earlier, as an independent nation. Let's move on to the next slide. We have locally led model of clan. These are some of the things they used to ensure that there was lasting peace from the grassroots. They have a bottom-up. They had a bottom-up way of doing things so that they can ensure that there was peace, lasting peace and reconciliation among some of the warring clans and people of that nation. So a locally led model of clan negotiation was that cultivated peace. There was a customary system of social forgetting. So they had Somali solutions to their Somalian problems that seem to have held because this country actually enjoys peace as opposed to what people classify it to be as a conflict-riddled part of the Horn of Africa. It actually enjoys peace and security more than you would actually find in other East African countries. And it had a self-funded several national inter-clan peace conferences. Now, these peace conferences were also instrumental in making people talk things out and look at the problems that led to conflict back in the day and ensure that they were forging forward in one unified future. And then the grassroots local assemblies dealing with clan reconciliation, constituted issues and institutional formation. And we know right now, when you take a look at Somaliland in the larger East African region, it is a beacon of democracy because the people have a strong sense of patriotism and they come together, make decisions together, they decide on peace and they struggle and work together to ensure that there is peace in that country. There's no issues with security, and even we are having a church in that predominantly Muslim part of this region that is just going on about its business, and we're having lots of Kenyans, like I said in my story, working there conflict-free without fear of any sort of problems as they go about their businesses. So that is Somaliland for you today. And also there's some of the elements of the country that point to it leading closer and closer to being a more successful nation. So we have a functioning government, the government of Somaliland. We have a capital. The capital is Hargeisa. It has its own currency. It is called the Somaliland shilling. It's still struggling to get its strength in the market, but it's actually there and it's used and it's sold in the market. There's a lot of currency exchange that goes on. And then there's it is predominantly a Muslim nation, but like I said, they intermingle with Christians and they live together peacefully. And the languages spoken there are Somali, Arabic, and English. That's it on Somaliland. Back to you, Jesse, for more.
All right, many thanks, Trinks Ingadu, right there, just giving us a brief detail about Somaliland. Republic by itself, very interesting and a lot of culture to go with it. Now, let us now bring you to the story of the other Somalia. Now, Ali Abdi